Hello, Bryte Church. Welcome to another devotional. Today, I want to talk about what is the scaffolding of your life. You know, we've probably seen scaffolding when we see construction projects. It's the tubes, it's the wires, it's the boards that often get put up alongside of a building that's being built or a building that's being renovated. And the purpose of it is to offer support to the workers. It's to offer support maybe even to the building in some cases, while the walls are getting put up, while the internal supports aren't yet built. And I've wondered, what is the scaffolding that supports our life? What are the things that when we look at our life, maybe some pieces aren't yet put together, and we need that scaffolding to give us form, to give us function? However, one of the things that you'll notice with any construction project is the fact that after the building has gotten to a certain stage of development or repair, that scaffolding gets removed piece by piece. And at some point, the scaffolding gets removed altogether, and the building is able to stand under its own weight. It doesn't need anything else to support it. I wanted to read from Hebrews chapter 10, verse 25. Not neglecting to meet together, as is the habit of some, but encouraging one another, and all the more as you see the day drawing near. I wanted to talk about what is the scaffolding of your life when it comes to meeting with other Christians. You know, as we kind of go in and out of quarantine, we kind of get pulled one way and another. Oftentimes, we look at the restrictions and we look at them as somehow an infringement on our ability to practice what we believe our Christianity, our faith, calls us to practice. We have many pastors who will stand and do stand in the way of those restrictions, and they say, we're not going to obey, we're not going to follow them. We know what is true, we know what is right, we know what we're supposed to do. And I've thought a lot about where do I stand on that topic. And I think I've come to a conclusion that might be surprising, maybe not, depending on whether you know me well or not. But I've come to the conclusion that I don't know that they're completely in the right by saying that you have to come to church, you have to meet this way. And it comes back to this conversation about scaffolding. What is the thing that supports your interactions with other believers, with other people of the faith? Is it an organization? Is it a structure? Is it a time of day? Is it a place? Is it a building? Is it meetings in a specific building, on a specific day, at a specific time? You know, a lot of us, I feel like we've gotten to the point where we assume that if that scaffolding isn't there, if a Sunday service isn't there, we somehow have lost an integral part of our faith. We can't meet, we can't interact, we can't encourage. And I'd say we've gotten to the point where we've gotten a building up. We've done the repair work. We've done the setup. And yet we keep the scaffolding up because we feel that it's been there since the beginning. How can we possibly do without it? How can we possibly function without it? And I think about that for our life as well. The scaffolding of church has been removed for us. What does the faith that we've built up look like? Is it a faith where the scaffolding gets removed and we assume that somehow an integral part of our faith has been removed? Or do we continue to meet? Do we continue to interact? In fact, I'd say now is a great time for you to figure out what your life is structured around. Is it structured around faith or is it structured around tradition? As young people will often rail against tradition, against doing things in a regular way. And some of those things are definitely traditions. They're not necessary. Other things, they are helpful. I wonder where this falls in our faith system, though. Do we still have a desire to meet? Do we still have a desire to interact, to support, to pray for each other? If we're not able to gather at church, are we able to gather in a park? If we're not able to encourage or meet with one another in person, are we able to do it virtually? Have you done that for your life? Or have you said the scaffolding that has been there since the beginning is gone and now I don't know what I'm supposed to do? You know, Hebrews, it calls us to meet with one another. Meet to regardless of what the restrictions are, meet regardless of what the situations are. And we've been given a gift, honestly. In our day and time, we have the ability to meet with grandmas who are our parents' friends back in Russia, to meet with friends who live across the block. And we can meet them face to face, even if it's not in person. We can encourage people by text or by phone. We can be a church. We can be the body of Christ, one that helps, supports, and is with one another despite the circumstances. Don't let the scaffolding of your life get in the way of practicing your faith. No matter what happens in the world, no matter what restrictions come about, our faith is unchanged. The way that we worship God, the way that we meet and come together, it changes, but it's still a meeting. It's still an interaction. It's still a fellowship. And if we desire it in our heart, we will find a way. We will find a way, despite the restrictions, we will find a way to meet, to interact, to support. If you've been feeling hopeless or discouraged by the situation, again, churches are in lockdown. Again, things are back to where they were. I encourage you, reanalyze your faith. See if you've been relying too much on that scaffolding and you haven't been living out your faith. Go in peace. God bless.